There you are. It's the end of summer. I hate it. Like a child, I hate it. I'm like, I don't want it to be the end of summer. The sun's still out pretty long, so it's fun. I've been riding bike with the grandkids, and I love it. I was starting to think it might not be a bad idea for a date. And like you have a date with somebody, you can ask them, do you have a bike? So maybe if you have an extra bike, say, hey, we're gonna go for a bike ride, and then I'll we'll get in a car, and you gotta take her out for dinner or something, or do Netflix and pills or whatever you guys do. And I don't know, it might be. I was thinking about something that happens like I rode a bike a lot when I was a kid. I talked about this before in my video called I Love Summer Nights, which is one of my favorite videos on this channel, even though it's probably not very good. Maybe I just like the thumbnail, I don't know. But it was one of the few videos on this channel where I just talk about something I like without... It's just nice. It wasn't me complaining about state of the world or demons or anything. So I hate that it's the end of summer. It's like the last week of August as I'm recording, this video. And it's already cold at night, but I'm not set up for heat, so I'm wearing my sweater and I have a t-shirt underneath. I don't know if that shows up on the camera. And it's cold and it sucks because I like it. I don't want summer to end. It never went away, that thing where like summer's ending. It sucks. I want it to be warm. Maybe I should just go move someplace in a warmer climate. Good luck with that, the way everything. I don't think I can afford to live someplace where the weather's nice. So, so the kids are back in school. I feel bad for them that they have to go. I'm not an advocate for kids having to go to school, especially and the teachers, like there are good teachers, there always have been, sure there will be, until it's not allowed anymore. They tried to make the educational system in America teacher-proof. There's books written on this, I believe them. And the teachers are complaining about how Gen Alpha and Beta just like don't know shit, and it's because of the computer. It really is. Or the phone, or you could say the tablet, but it's basically all those things are the internet. Swirl it up into one thing. The internet has made us stupid on purpose, and it always makes me think of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, wherein the future people are stupid, and they love it. Except for John, who grew up on a human reservation. You remember John from Brave New World, John the Savage? He grew up on he's a free-range human. And it's like a quaint notion in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, a book that was like copywritten in like 1922 or something. So that's a long time ago. And in the future of Huxley's Brave New World, everybody's stupid, everybody's high all the time, people are grown into hatcheries, everybody's mom is Lenina. Lenina is one of the hot babes, probably made Gattaca style. You know Gattaca. Go watch the movie. I think it's Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman and Gattaca or something. Can't remember anymore. So I'm sure there's more than one iteration of Gattaca. Probably the further back in time, the cooler it will be to watch now. If you can appreciate old cinema, when they actually made movies, instead of now they just make internet movies. Not the same. So, in Huxley's Brave New World, people are stupid and they love it. They have orgy porgies. It's this socialism, Marxism, communism. We don't need to be couples or pair up anymore, except that the higher ups, the alphas and the alpha double pluses and all those people, they couple up. They got us talking this way. The way that people talk in Huxley's Brave New World about each other's, which is it's a global class system. So there's alpha double pluses, and there's alpha plus, and then there's alphas, and then there's betas, and there's probably like beta double plus, and there's alpha, beta, delta, gamma, all the way down to what they call the epsilon class. And the epsilon class are supposed to be like off the charts on the spectrum autards, and they're like good for doing like one thing, like here, pull this lever. Even though in the future of Huxley's Brave New World, or our future rather, there's probably no need to have somebody pull a lever, right? So they're making us stupid, like that book. There's also, I'll bring George Orwell's 1984 into it now. In 1984, it's repressive, communist, Marxist, socialist future, and everybody hates it. And the whole point of the story is that, well, in 1984, it's like this. Winston and Julia fall in love with each other, and it's not allowed. So they torture Winston and Julia so that they're not in love with each other. They MK Ultra torture them, like physically torture them. Like they find out that Winston's biggest fear is rats. So they put a rat cage on his head and put a rat in it or something like that. And they're like, the rat's gonna eat your head. You better stop loving Julia. So they break him. What a wimp. I wouldn't give up on love because of a rat eating my face or whatever. That's bullshit. You can bite a rat back probably. So I don't want to do that either. So anyway, we don't even know what they did to Julia. I don't remember if they even talk about what they did to break her of being in love with Winston rather. So the point of 1984 is that love loses, and George Orwell wasn't a good guy, so he wasn't trying to help us by writing 1984. He was just saying, here's your future. In your future, you'll love the state, you'll love the system. That's your idol. You'll worship Big Brother. Okay? And now we have the long-running reality show that still runs to this day called Big Brother. I don't know if it's a US version or they just do the UK version, but even if they do the UK version of Big Brother and they don't have a US version of it, it doesn't matter. The people in the US watch the UK version. So Big Brother is still a TV show, and it's based on that awful book by that asshole. And he's probably having a hot oil bath now. Still. And I'm going to compare it to Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. In Brave New World, love can't survive because people are stupid. So John the Savage and his mom leave the human reservation. They're like free-range eco-village humans or whatever you want to call that. And they go into the Brave New World, which is the 15-minute smart city. I'll just call it that. So they live out in the country on their ant farm human reservation, like these technocrat asshole guys call it. And they go into the Brave New World, and John's mother, John the Savage's mom, came from the Brave New World. So she's like, oh, I remember everything was so much easier here. So she eats the food of the Brave New World, and it's poison, and she gets sick and dies, right away. But John the Savage is younger and made of tougher stuff. And he falls for Lenina, named after Lenin. Not John Lennon, obviously, but, that communist Lenin guy. You know who I'm talking, Lenin. So, he falls for Lenina, and she's probably really hot. I think she was a redhead. I can't really remember anymore. But he falls for Lenina, and Lenina is everybody's mom in her particular hatchery, so she oversees all the babies because people aren't born, they're hatched. Like Cabbage Patch Kids or whatever. And she's nuts, and she's incapable of falling in love with John because everybody belongs to each other and they have orgy porgies. And orgy porgy is just orgy, it's just sex parties. In 1984, they break you of love, and love loses. In in Huxley's Brave New World, the people are just so far gone, it does not compute. So John the Savage goes, these people are nuts, there's no chance of love, and then he hangs himself. And that's the end of Brave New World. So in both stories, love loses, which is the point of, and Brave New World was first, okay? George Orwell's 1984 was written, I can't remember when, 50s or something? Or I don't remember. But first was Huxley's Brave New World. Aldous Huxley, I think, is the guy who wrote The Doors of Perception. He wanted you to take drugs. Do you want me to make another video where I listen to? Maybe I can go into future Scott mode. I don't know if I will. But that video is already up. Go look up Soften the Coffin's channel or Champion of Love's channel, which you will find on my homepage. If you scroll down, you can see other channels that are recommended, and you can find me listening to and doing monkey shines to and funny faces and shit to Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. And Aldous Huxley reads it himself, and I'm listening to it, pretending I'm in the future MIT Dayglow dystopia. And then the same thing for 1984. And there's a lot of vulgarities because I used to get high and drunk back then, so you're gonna hear me say vulgar things. But it's cool. I have like a tape cassette, and you listen to 1984 through tape cassette, and then Aldous Huxley, you know, he reads an abbreviated version of Brave New World, which you can find. You don't need me. You can just go, if you want to listen to what the story of Brave New World is, you can listen to Aldous Huxley read, the author himself, read it to you. Asshole. He's probably having a hot oil bath with George Orwell. They're probably next to each other in the hot tub going, ha 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 ha! No! Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what this video is. I just kind of wanted to compare those two. Now we can just keep talking more about what's happened to, you know, millennials, alpha. I don't know, Gen Z got messed with too. Gen Z, I think, has got affected. Everybody got affected by the internet. Boomers and whatever's before boomers. What do they call people before boomers? Are they still the greatest generation, or all the greatest generation dead? I think that's the name they gave themselves. The greatest generation. They survived the war and whatever that did to them, but they knew what it was like to fight for their freedoms, even if it was under a false pretense of a guise of whatever they set up for World War II. And then what's after that? Then the Korean War, and then wasn't MASH about the Korean War? Remember MASH? I remember a time when everybody's dad, now it's probably, if there's any, there's probably grandpas, like every millennial's grandpa probably sat around watching MASH. It was a sitcom about the Korean War. The Korean War lasted 7 years. The show MASH was on the air for 11 years. So the real life conflict lasted 7 years, but the TV show, people loved I guess, see this whole shit about Korea. Now everybody loves K-pop and all this stuff, and it's not new. It started with MASH. That should be like a whole other video I do. And that this obsession with Korea, because one of the most longest, at the time, longest running rerun sitcoms was MASH, and it was about doctors in the Korean War for 11 years. And then when that show ended, they had like 2 or 3 seasons of after MASH. So it's like, wow, we follow these people home after the war. And then there was the Vietnam War. And then those guys came home and everybody hated them, because that's like the beginning of all that SJW shit. In the 1960s, the counterculture revolution was counter the culture. So people got drafted to a war that they didn't want to go into. And then when they came home, the people hated them for being in that war. Doesn't that sound like these extreme liberals we got today, where, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You guys don't understand. You're wrong, and everything you do is wrong, and you're the evil white man, and you went and invaded those other people's countries. And the kids are like, we got drafted. What the hell? You know, they drafted kids in there, and they're shotgunning Korean weed or Vietnamese weed bongs. But that was the 1960s counterculture revolution, was to destroy the culture. And the culture in America was families and the American dream. So the 1960s counterculture revolution was to destroy the American dream. And they played their part. Those 60s professors going around, I mean, they made fun of this in movies. Like you ever see Animal House? And Donald Sutherland plays a college professor that gets high with his students. When I was in high school, the photography, if you took photography as an elective, the photography teacher was like a 1960s burnout guy, and he used to smoke weed with the kid. If you went to photography class, you could get high. It was his weed. I remember the girl said, "You should join photography. We get high." So, you know, look at what happened to the public schooling system with these teachers and the college professors. Look at what a bunch of assholes a lot of these guys are. I remember I went to college, a lot of these guys were bozos and they were trying to fuck the kids. Granted, they were college students and it was legal and stuff, but it's not okay. I did a video I haven't put up where I talked about my high school experiences and how things were bad back then, how the teachers were fooling around with the kids. But I didn't put it up because I thought maybe it's too, I talk about personal stuff, but I thought, maybe this one's in poor taste. So I haven't put it up, but I don't know, maybe I'll loosen up and I'll just throw it up as we head into the end of the year, because you're probably going to be seeing this video in December. So I'm recording this video now, but I have videos loaded into December. So, you know, winter is a time for going in and reflecting. So you're probably going to see this in December. So this is me reflecting. I like to get ahead on my reflecting, like when the stores are premature and getting ready. Oh, it's August, start putting out Halloween stuff for October so you can start buying Halloween stuff. You know what Halloween's about? All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. It was about a day of killing the saints. And the jack-o'-lantern was the head of a saint. They cut the saints' heads off, and then God would keep them animated so that they could go around and preach the word of God with their heads cut off. That's one of the legends about All Saints Day, which is All Hallows Eve, or the pagan festival of Samhain. And we know how much they want us to love Halloween because it's all about witches and sorcery and all that stuff in Deuteronomy. It says we're not supposed to do. And what's the oldest form of demonic worship? You dress up as the thing, and then you let the spirits inhabit you. It's like how voodoo works. You get yourself worked up in a frenzy with the drum beat, and then the demon rides the person and they writhe around, and that's a voodoo ritual. Like on Bill and Hillary's honeymoon in 1975 in Haiti, where Bill had the most transformative experience of his life. This is from his autobiography. You know Bill Clinton. Yeah, in his autobiography he said that him and Hillary had their honeymoon in Haiti in 1975, and witnessing a voodoo ritual was the most transformative experience of his lifetime. And then he got possessed, and then he came back, and he probably drove some guy to the airport, and nobody ever saw him again. Not Bill, obviously we've seen him again, he's still here. Looking great. He doesn't have AIDS at all, probably. So yeah, look what they did to us. They messed with the schooling system, and some of the big strides in ruining society were taken in the 1960s. So the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, which was a coin termed by Aleister Crowley. He was already dead, I think, by the 1960s, but you know, the rock and roll stuff came post World War II. And then he was still alive then. I think he's the one that came up with the term sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we had rock and roll music. Who came up with that? Bill Haley came up with rock and roll, the term? I don't know. So the destructive power of music. Jim Morrison, his dad was responsible for Tonkin Bay. And a lot of people now know that Jim Morrison was sent to go out there and enculturate bad behavior in the youth and tell them to tear shit up, and he was always pulling this thing out. Just saying. So, yeah, Woodstock was a disgusting thing. It was like a ritual, right? So now we have Halloween and people dress up in costumes. And that was the thing they did in the 1960s. It was a counterculture revolution, so they wore stupid clothes that were supposed to look stupid on purpose. Did you know that? I remember in the 1990s, bell-bottoms came in fashion, and anyone who was older would say, why? They're bringing back the 1960s? You know how much that sucked? It was like how people know that we're alive for punk rock, that it sucked. It was about being dirty and smelly and drugs, and it's not good. So, you know, they're both ops, right? Like, you know, the anarchy and all that shit. That's punk rock, right? It's the same thing. It's about destroying society and music and drugs. And, you know, it's about rebellion, and rebellion is, you know, it's ultimately it's about rebellion against God. So like, yeah, rock and roll revolution. And, you know, punk rock music is ugly and discordant. Now we have metal, we have heavy metal. And it's like openly satanic. Rodney James Dio is singing about demons, and then Tenacious D like stole the torch from Dio or whatever. Remember that song, that Tenacious D song about Dio? The guy's name is Dio. What is Dio? Does that mean God or death? Dios, no, muerte is death. Dios is God, right? He called himself Dio? I don't know. Anyway, Rodney James Dio, Holy Diver, all that shit. That's bullshit music. So here we are today, watching the youth be destroyed by their phones. So tablets make you, so if the younger you are, tablets make you stupid. So you shouldn't be allowed to play with grown-ups' phones. I know that young people aren't watching this because this is adults-only content channel. Because I never wear pants. I don't know if you saw me walk into the scene at the beginning of this video, but I didn't have pants on. Ah, Alf said that once. I actually say it all the time. So, yeah. Dumbing Us Down. There's a good book. It's short. It's like a pamphlet. It's called Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. And he was part of the American public education system. And he was the guy that wrote the very thick tome called The Hidden History of Compulsory Education in America. And he talks about the roots of modern American education and how it came from the Prussian schooling system. And that they thought of people, it's like a German idea, like the idea of kindergarten as a garden, the idea of thinking of people as crops to be all made the same way, like monocropping of humans. You know, like it's little cabbages and we're the Cabbage Patch Kids and all that stuff. Not the Cabbage Patch Kids where people are talking about like World's Fair. That's like a different topic. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about treating children as crops to be cultivated in a garden to grow the way that, you know, like the new Microsoft education. They want one global education worldwide so everybody thinks the same. Well, if we get everybody to think the same, then let's do whatever the fuck we tell them to. That's the plan. And it's working because apparently teachers are saying that Gen Alpha and Beta are stupid. And I remember years ago, not that long ago, like probably under times when we went under lockdowns, that there was this TikTok thing to like tear up your school and like TikTok trend to like ruin your school. I know school sucks, but you know, they want everybody to stay home. Then you can't have friends. I mean, didn't Zuckerberg say recently, as of me recording this video in August, end of August, he said that Zuckerberg said, the camera cut out, that in the future everyone will have virtual AI friends, so you won't have real friends. Well, what about people like getting together to do heists on Grand Theft Auto Online, or did they ruin that? Because I remember I was a house guest, and their kid was doing heists on Grand Theft Auto, and they had friends like all over the world. So they were playing like internationally because they're Army brat kids, and they were playing internationally Grand Theft Auto heists, and they had California mapped out, or like a certain section of California mapped out, and that's what you were playing online. So they planned on a heist, which I guess probably wasn't very sophisticated. They're like, we're just gonna attack this place. So, and then they were running away from the police, and they just went on a nice jaunty drive out of the city, and they're driving through California, and the cops are still chasing them, and they were going off-road and shit. And I was like, you can do that on a game? Yeah, you know, like with your friends. and heist, and then, you know, and now they're ruining online gaming, and they just want everyone isolated so that they're not playing with each other anymore. They're playing with AI friends. That's my prediction for what they want. When I make predictions about things, I'm not saying they'll get their way. My predictions are more of like projections, like where probably are they going to go with this, or pontifications. I guess all of this episode is that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's what they want. They don't want people to have actual interaction with each other, and it fits into Brave New World. It fits into 1984, where everyone's divided and conquered, and the ministry of truth tells lies, and the ministry of peace starts wars. And what are the other two? Ministry of love spews hate. That's 1984, if you never read it. You can still probably, for free, I clip grabbed it when clip grab still worked. I clip grabbed 1984 at a high resolution, starring John Hurt. That's the good version of 1984. You want to see nice tits? They're in there. You shouldn't see them, but they're in. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is just on YouTube for free. You can see her boobs, because there's like a love scene between Winston and Julia, and it's a nice pair. And so go watch John Hurt's 1984, and then you can see how heartbreaking it is at the end when he's crying, not because he remembers Julia, because he remembers how he loves Big Brother. That's what they want. They want for us to love the system that they want to use to break us. So that's why when Larry Fink is telling Larry Fink, who works for BlackRock, which means all kinds of evil occult things, and he said you have to force behaviors. That's why we're telling everyone to force behaviors. And he's like openly, brazenly just saying like, yeah, we're just gonna plow over you guys, just force behaviors. And Disney's still making the same shit that nobody likes. They ruin the franchises, and it's not enough. They have to keep forcing behaviors. And they're not going to stop. Everybody's saying this now that would complain about that kind of shit. That talks about what'd they do to Han Solo or all that bullshit. Who cares? You shouldn't have liked him anyway. He's just a cowboy. He's just a Clint Eastwood style cowboy guy. That's all Han Solo in space. That's all Han Solo is. Go watch the Clint Eastwood movies. You like Wolverine? The hell with Wolverine. Go watch Clint Eastwood movies. They're free on YouTube now. You can just watch them. Go watch the Sergio Leone Man with No Name trilogy. They're all winners. Then you can watch Hang 'em High. That's a good Clint Eastwood one. It's all Wolverine. You know how they never made the good Wolverine movie? I guess until they made Wolverine versus Deadpool. Well, they already made all the good Wolverine movies. It's just Clint Eastwood. Hugh Jackman is just a surrogate stand-in for Clint Eastwood. That's why Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, because he kind of looks like Clint Eastwood. That's why. And nothing against Hugh Jackman. He's good too. They should make, now that Clint Eastwood's too old, they should make good Hugh Jackman westerns and make him use the American accent, because I heard what his voice really sounds like. Wasn't Clint Eastwood in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and he had to sing and he can't sing? Was it Paint Your Wagon or something? Clint Eastwood's in a musical western and he can't sing. He also sang the theme song for Every Which Way You Can. It's where Clint Eastwood hangs out with an orangutan. You'll like that one too. So yeah, or if you like, you could watch 70s Charles Bronson vigilante movies. And since Charles Bronson is long dead, there's a guy that looks like him that's actually in good shape, and he wears a wig too. And you can just watch Bronson movies, which are genre movies where they take the guy that looks like Charles Bronson that's more buffed out and old, and they put him in like Saw, and he just kills everything. And they put them in horror movies and different genre movies and stuff, and it's good. They're good. I like them. I've seen some of them. I like them. I'm like, cool. It's just a guy that looks like Charles Bronson, and they call him Bronson. I don't know. Whatever. Cool idea. So they should just do that with Hugh Jackman. They should just make Clint Eastwood westerns with Hugh Jackman. Not remakes, just new westerns. But instead of westerns, what would be cooler is if they're all just post-apocalyptic, dystopian style western movies. they should do retro Hugh Jackman 1980s Italian Mad Max ripoff post-apocalyptic movies. You know, now the effects will be better than they had in the 80s. Hugh Jackman should be in Turbo Kid 3. Why not? You ever see Turbo Kid? Go watch that. It's one of my favorites. It's a love story with a bullshit ending. I want him to make Turbo Kid 2. You think they'll ever make it? I know one of the guys got scandalized. He's done. He's not coming back. So anyway, yeah, I'm sorry about what they did to the kids. Maybe the Zoomers, since they're raised on the internet and they know about all the cool conspiracy theory videos and they know what's been done to them and they know how their Gen X parents suck and they had their boomer grandparents or great-grandparents for that matter educate them and fill them in on the cool stuff. Or maybe they had cool Gen X parents that were standing up. Do you remember the Gen X theory? We're called Gen X because at some point they're gonna stand up and fight the power or whatever. Some Public Enemy bullshit. Remember Public Enemy, the rap band? Listen to their music now. It's shit. Flavor Flav's a reality star, not a musician. He's a dancing buffoon. He's the modern day equivalent of that sharecropper voice of Jar Jar Binks. Yes, massa. No, massa. Me clean up for you real good, massa. That's Jar Jar Binks. Or George R. Binks, if you like. George R. Binks. Whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of think there might be some cool things about Gen Z. And maybe they'll be able to... They're parents now, right? Like there's Gen Z, Zoomer parents that have alpha or beta progeny. Maybe they will, raise them to be race-based and red-pilled, which again is probably just another op. But I don't have any other words to explain to you what I mean by cool people. The red pill, the Andrew Tate red pill, that's not a red. That's don't take pills. Oh, what about the white pill? Was that QAnon? The white coat? That's all bullshit. Don't take pills. That'd be my advice. Just don't take pills. And, save on the thumb drive all the cool videos that explains how the world really works so you can show them to the youth. And then, you really have something that, save an old tower for offline and say this is just someone to show you conspiracy theory videos so you can see that all this shit that Jay Dyer's analysis is predicting actually happened. And look what happened to Jay Dyer. He's wearing lipstick and he has a feather duster up his fanny and his wife whips him now. Look what happened to that poor guy. Just kidding. So, yes, you can show him the cool videos. Look, we're in the short season, JT versus JC. They actually crucified demon erasers. He went down for the team. Whatever. So, I'm trying to think of these other channels. The Nephilim Death Squad is actually killing Nephilim. And whatever channels you watch. So, yeah. I don't know, I just wanted to hang out with you. So this is, I don't know, was this a nice lo-fi chill jam? I'm trying to figure out what will the thumbnail be. I'm probably going to go with Clint Eastwood thumbnail, but I don't know what the title will be. So, I just want to talk about all these things. But the poor alpha and beta, they're shitting themselves and they can't read. Also keep in mind that they want us to think that, yes, the teacher TikToks are saying to kids, they're like, I don't know what to do. These kids are unteachable. And they're just telling me no and they want to have a tablet. Take the fucking tablet away. For real. I'm not even trying to front. That's how they used to talk in the old days. I bet Facebook, like how there's words that aren't liked. I remember that on Facebook they didn't it was out of the algorithm or unfavored or whatever by the Facebook algorithm. They didn't like IRL, like no in real life. They didn't like anybody using that on Facebook or even abbreviating it. IRL means in real life. I bet that they don't like keeping it real too. I bet like one of the words, the phrasings that they don't like you using, like you can't say rape because in the future there'll be no consent. That's one of the sticking points of Brave New World. In the future of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, there's no consent, so there can't be any rape. And then you can't say slave because everyone's slave. So if you take away slaves and nobody says it anymore, then nobody's a slave. The word doesn't exist. It loses all meaning. No one's slave. So they tell you now that it's offensive to say that word, so it's not favored by the algorithm. We should be saving my videos for the future. I don't know. Do I really predict stuff anymore? I used to do it all the time. And I was right about a lot of stuff. Maybe some of those videos are still up on Champion of Love, Soften the Coffin channel, Mammoth Out of Pop Culture channel, or any of the other channels that, you know, I recommend like finding ways to save video. Maybe you have YouTube Premium and you can download stuff. Yeah, download all the cool videos and save them so that you can show to youth. Maybe you're going to be a grandparent someday, even though they don't want anybody to have children. Defy the odds, have them anyway, even though nobody can afford it. Pray to God that He will help you eat, so that everybody eats. And yeah, like I sometimes I say a lot of negative things, but I'm not pessimistic about it. You know, even though sometimes the odds can seem overwhelming, we have access to the most advanced technology that's ever going to be available, and that's direct prayer to God. We have a direct line to the creator and maker of all things, and He wants us to call Him and sort it all out with Him. You'll never have a better friend than Jesus. You'll never have a better friend than His Holy Spirit. You'll never have a better friend than the Trinity, one in essence and undivided. So whatever you tell one, all three of them know it. Whether it's God the Father, maker of all things, His only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, our King and our God, Jesus Christ, or His Holy Spirit, who is everywhere present and filling all things. So that means He knows. God knows what you're going through, and you can take it to Him in prayer. And that's the fight. What's the good fight they always talk about? It's never giving up on prayer, and always praying consistently, even when it's not working and you feel like, God, what are you doing to me here? I pray and I'm not getting any of the shit that I ask for. Where's my boat? You don't need that. Unless you do. Maybe you need, I don't know what, sometimes situations in life might call for a boat. Don't be the guy who, you know, wants God to help him, and then the boat comes. Did you ever hear the story? There's a flood, and the guy's on the roof of his house, and then the boat comes by, and they say, come on, get in the boat, I'll take you out of here. And he's like, no, I prayed to God, God will help me. And then the guy's like, just get in the boat. And he's like, no, go, God will help me. And then next thing you know, he's standing on the chimney of his house because the waters are even higher. And then another boat comes through, and he's like, get out of here, God will save me. And then he has to swim over to a tree that's taller than his house, and he's at the top of a tree, and a helicopter comes, and they send a ladder down, and they're like, grab onto the ladder and we'll take you to land. And he's like, no, God will help me. And then the guy, the waters rise and he drowns and he gets swept away, and he's meeting God. And he says, God, I thought you were going to help me. Why didn't you help me? And he said, I tried to help you. I sent a boat, then I sent another boat, then I sent a helicopter, and you didn't take the help. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes openly and overtly transparent ways. So maybe you do need a boat. And, you know, keep in mind that God helps in different ways. So pray for discernment. I would say pray for wisdom. Everything comes under wisdom. Even if you feel like your heart is hardened and you can't feel love anymore, pray for wisdom. That was the thing that God was pleased with Solomon about. He prayed for wisdom, and then he got it, and then he messed up. So pray for wisdom, because pretty much everything is encased in wisdom, right? And when you pray for wisdom, you're asking God's wisdom for wisdom, because Jesus is God's wisdom, right? So when you're asking for help, pray for wisdom and be persistent. Pray for wisdom, pray for discernment, pray for the peace that passes all understanding. Pray for His counsel. It's in Isaiah 11:2. It's a good little section, Isaiah 11:2. Let me read it to you, and then I'll leave you. I'll end on that. Where is it? It's over there. I'll be right back. Got it. Isaiah 11:2. You can pray this for yourself. Isaiah 11:2. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And his delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. And you can too. So go find Isaiah 11:2 and write it down so that you can pray to God and say, God, I want this to be for me. I want this to be my lot. Make it so, Lord, please. I pray for wisdom. Even if you only just prayed for wisdom, so much comes underneath wisdom. It's something you should really want. You should really genuinely seek wisdom. And one of the ways to get it is by reading the Word and keep reading it over and over again. The more I read the Bible, the more I recognize that I am learning more, but that I know nothing. And then I'll see some other guy's video, and he's talking about the Bible, you know, and I'm like, oh wow, I want to know the Bible like that. So you can't know it like that if you don't keep up with reading it. I've read through the New Testament a bunch of times, and I'm starting in the Old Testament again. I want to read now I'm going to read the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, in chronological order. You can find it. It's a PDF. Like, you know, if you go online and look up like a PDF file of the chronological order of things in the Bible, so that you can read the Bible in the order that things actually happened, and it helps you understand it better. And I don't have one, but they probably have in print versions of the Bible that are in chronological order. I'm going to seek one of those out. Yeah, maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to buy a version of the Bible that's presented in chronological order. That's worth finding. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, it has to be. There has to be a version of the Bible that you can buy like that. I want that version. So, but even if you don't have it, you can just have the PDF and you can do it yourself. So, we have access to the most advanced technology that we're ever going to have, and the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nation, many of which who are occultists, or whether they know it or not, are being influenced by the demonic, by dark forces. They do not want you to pray for God and ask to help, because prayers to God can be against them. And if you're asking God for help, you're working against what they want for all of us. And what they want for all of us is evil, evil. Remember that from Kids in the Hall? The Simon and Hecubus thing? So, I can't just do that gay voice. Yeah. I tried to. I used to be able to do it pretty good, but I smoked away any ability to be a mimic or imitate voices. You want to hear my Kurt Vonnegut impression? Here, I'll do it for you right now. I'm the man without a country. That's pretty good. Anyway, I'm the man without a pop culture. Vonnegut's the man without a country. And pray to God for help, because He will help you. You have to be consistent and persistent, like the tenacious widow in Luke 18. And keep praying and never stop. Pray without ceasing. Maybe praying without ceasing isn't as... You're like, how could I ever do that? It just means never stop praying. Like every day, pray to God. And you can pray against their evil plans. Please, Lord, put cracks and tears in their evil plans and destroy their evil plans. And make sure that not only do their evil plans never see fruition, but that they be incapacitated and unable to retaliate if they want to just be mean to us because they can't get their way. And bind demons and cast them out of your home, and pray for other people who are in trouble, because think about it. There may be people in your life and nobody's praying for them. You may be one of those people. You're like, wow, I better start praying. Nobody prays for me. I don't even know anybody who prays. You can be the guy and pray for a lot of people. It's better than watching TV shows. They suck. Is anything any good anymore? You just want to look at that girl. You just want to see her because she's half naked all the time, right? Stop watching that shit. Anyway, I know I want to look at the women too. You're not supposed to. So be good and call God. It's the most advanced weaponry we have against the forces of darkness, and it works. You can use it to cast out demons. You use Jesus' name to cast out demons. You use it to end sleep paralysis. You use it to stop bad drug trips. And then you got to stop taking drugs. It helps people out of alien abductions. And it helps if you're having, did I say sleep paralysis? If you're having sleep paralysis and bad dreams, say Jesus' name and you can wake up. And if it doesn't work, then, because sometimes people say, I called Jesus' name and it didn't work. And then you just say, Jesus, come and get me. Jesus, get me out of here. And then you'll wake up. Pray to God. It's a weapon. It's a weapon against evil. Like, you're like, there's nothing I can do. Look at all this shit they're doing to us. The world's crazy. People are going mad. The Gen Alpha and Beta are shitting themselves. They're really Gen Epsilon. They can't read. They're horrible. They can't even go to a super expensive elite restaurant of Chili's because everything costs so much. Without a tablet, you can pray. You can pray for Gen Alpha and Gen Beta. You can pray for the whole generation. It's weapons against evil. Our weapons against evil. Did you ever hear about the full armor of God? Yeah, well, prayer I would definitely include as our part of our armaments against evil. It's His word, but we're made in His image and likeness, so our words matter too. And prayers are words to God. Word to your father. They used to say word to your mother. What does that mean? It means nothing. Word to your Father who art in heaven, maker of all things. Pray to God. I'm telling you, it's a weapon against evil. That is all. Pray to God. Use Jesus' name. He wants us to use it. It works.